Since I was little, I was told to take care of Noah. He suffers from aphasia and has always been withdrawn and gloomy. I repeated a grade for him, learned sign language for him, and stayed by his side for 6 years. But Noah never wanted anything to do with me. In our final year of high school, a transfer student joined our class. In front of her, Noah started speaking in full sentences. When she asked about our relationship, Noah frowned and replied, "She's the nanny my mom hired to look after me. Clings to me all the time and even said she's following me to H City after the college entrance exams." So annoying. But he didn't know. Lynn's mother and I had an agreement long ago. I would take care of him until he graduated high school, and she would fund my education. I never applied to a university in H City. Before the application system closed, I quietly changed my choice to be university. Chapter 1. Before I met Noah, I had always lived in an orphanage. It was a private one, not exactly legal or regulated. Quite a few people donated money, but most of it went into the director's pocket. Very little was actually spent on us. I remember the meals were always scarce, so little that we were constantly hungry. I don't remember who started it, but eventually, we all began fighting over food. Yelling, cursing, and brawling became the norm. The day Lynn's mother came, it happened to be mealtime. A boy snatched half a marinated egg from my bowl, so I grabbed him by the neck and pinned him to the floor. He shoved the egg into his mouth immediately. I dug into his mouth with my fingers to get it back. The director sat nearby, leisurely sipping a bowl of Buddha jumps over the wall soup while watching us with amusement. Maybe because life was so dull, he liked seeing us fight. The skinnier we were, the more bruised we looked, the more pitiful we appeared, and the more money he could con out of the kind-hearted donors. If he was in a good mood, he might toss us some leftovers. It was at that moment that Lynn's mother showed up, startling the director so much his face went pale. When I learned she was there to adopt a child, I was filled with regret. I knew adults preferred quiet, well-behaved girls. I really shouldn't have acted so wild. But she looked around, then squatted down in front of me. She said I was a promising child and asked if I'd be willing to go home with her. I had dreamed of escaping that wolf's den. I nodded immediately. That day, I moved into the Lynn household. I had my own bed. Never worried about food or clothes. Happiness came too suddenly. While I was still overwhelmed with gratitude, Lynn's mother took me to meet Noah. It was nearly dark, yet his room had no lights on. He sat alone in the corner, quietly listening to music, staring blankly at the sunset in the distance. Even when we entered the room, he didn't react. His gaze didn't shift at all. "This is my son, Noah." Lynn's mother introduced us, finally revealing her true purpose. "I have my own child, and the reason I adopted you is because he has aphasia and can't communicate normally. Because of that, he's often bullied at school. I can't protect him all the time. I want you to help look after him at school. Olivia, can you do that?" Chapter 2. I knew from the start that Lynn's mother adopted me just to take care of Noah. Even so, I was still grateful to her. After all, she saved me from that hellhole of an orphanage. I genuinely wanted to be good to Noah. He was a year younger than me. To be in the same grade as him. Lynn's mother had me repeat a year. Noah never spoke. When classmates stabbed his arm with compasses or poured water from their thermoses on his face, he stayed silent. If the pain got too intense, he would just furrow his brows and clutch his sleeves tightly. The others would surround him and mock him. Mute. Mute. I couldn't understand it. Such a beautiful boy who never did anything wrong. Why was he treated this way? So I grabbed a chair and smashed it over the head of the ringleader. "Say that again. I dare you." I'd fought people barehanded in the orphanage all my life. This was second nature to me. That day, I beat the bullies into silence with a chair. Noah still didn't say anything, but his eyes rested on me for a whole 2 seconds. He hated strangers getting close, but I shamelessly stuck to him like glue. Gradually, he seemed to get used to me. For example, when I asked him questions, he would answer with sign language, or when he bought things, he'd get an extra portion and give it to me. The turning point in our relationship came during our final year of high school. It was Noah's 18th birthday, but Lynn's mother was on a business trip and couldn't celebrate with him. I used the money I'd saved up to take him out for dinner. What I didn't expect was that the server messed up our drinks. Bringing over a special beverage meant for the couple at the next table. On the way back, I started to feel something was wrong. It was like a fire was burning inside me, and my blood felt like it was boiling. I took Noah back to his room, intending to rush to mine for a cold shower. But just as I turned to leave, Noah suddenly grabbed my hand. The world spun. He pressed me against the doorframe, his breath hot against my face. He signed with his hands. He said he was hot. He felt terrible. Before I could respond, he suddenly leaned in and kissed me. It was like an electric current surged through me. I stared wide-eyed in shock. My blood rushed to my head, and in the suffocating, burning kiss, I lost control and wrapped my arms around his waist, trembling. That night, everything was a blur. I only remember Noah kissing me for a long, long time, until my lower lip was split. The next morning, I woke up in his bed. Clothes were strewn all over the floor, recalling the night before. My cheeks flushed, my body ached, but my heart felt inexplicably sweet. Just when I thought the feelings I had buried deep inside were finally being returned, his words shattered all my illusions. Noah stood at the bedside, fully dressed, coldly staring down at me. He signed, "Olivia, how can you be so shameless? You actually drugged me just to make me touch you? You really are a despicable, shameless person." Chapter 3. I stood frozen, trying to explain, but he wouldn't listen. He walked over to the window and pulled open the curtains. Sunlight spilled across my bare body and onto the dark red stain on the sheets. He narrowed his eyes slightly, undisguised contempt in his gaze. But the truth was, I wasn't the one who drugged him. He was the one who initiated everything last night, not me. Yet he insisted the whole thing had been planned by me. "Olivia, isn't this what you wanted? To be with me, to latch onto the high branch that is the Lynn family? I know you orphans go hungry and cold, desperate to claw your way into a better life, but your methods are downright disgusting. Honestly, just looking at you now makes me sick." He had the bed thrown out and ordered the entire room to be scrubbed from top to bottom. He gave strict instructions that I was never to enter his room again. After all this, he left the house. I wanted to follow, but every step sent a tearing pain through me. I had no choice but to curl up on my bed. I didn't expect that he wouldn't return for 2 whole days. Lynn's mother rushed back from out of town, filed a police report, and then lashed out at me in fury. She had always been kind and gentle, but that day her face was cold, and she made me kneel at the front door. She told me to hold out my hands and struck my palms again and again with a bamboo cane. "Olivia, I've fed and clothed you well so you could take care of Noah. This is how you repay me." Her anger grew as she spoke, and the strikes came harder. I bit my lip hard to keep from crying out. Noah returned at that moment, alongside the police. He brought back a girl. She smiled sweetly and reached out to shake Lynn's mother's hand. "Auntie, hello, my name is Alice. I used to be a selective mute, just like Noah. I added him online and have been helping him with his recovery training. The past few days, he was feeling down, so he came to see me. Please don't be upset with him." Then she turned to look at Noah, her eyes shining. "Say the words I taught you." Noah's gaze skipped over me and landed on Lynn's mother. In a hoarse, unsteady voice, he said slowly, "Mom, I'm back." It was the first time I'd heard Noah speak in 6 years. Lynn's mother was stunned as well, unmoving as the cane dropped from her hand. Her eyes filled with tears. She immediately invited Alice inside. I watched the 3 of them disappear down the hall while I remained kneeling, blood seeping from my palms. Lynn's mother was still angry at me until she said otherwise. I couldn't get up. As they turned the corner, Noah looked back at me briefly, but he only pressed his lips together and said nothing. Walking into the house with Alice, the light inside cast the shadow of the 3 of them against the curtains. My legs went numb from kneeling. I had to prop myself up with my hands to ease the pain. I knelt there until midnight. Only after Alice left did Lynn's mother finally allow me to stand. She said coldly, "Don't let it happen again." I nodded with bruised knees. Understood. Because Alice had helped Noah speak, Lynn's mother grew very fond of her. She arranged for Alice to transfer schools into Noah's class and even had them seated together. From then on, Alice infiltrated every corner of Noah's life, and Noah accepted it completely. That day after school, just before we got into the car to go home, Noah suddenly stopped me. He still didn't want to speak in front of me. He signed, Olivia. Can you walk home by yourself? I was stunned. What? He got into the car, rolled down the window, and said, you keep going to and from school with me. I don't want Alice to get the wrong idea about us. From now on, walk home on your own. Before I could respond, the driver spoke up. Young master, isn't that a bit much? The house is at least 5 kilometers away. It'll take over an hour on foot. And she's a girl. It might not be safe for her to walk home alone at night. Noah glanced at me from the car and replied, she'll be fine. She's tough. You don't know how rough and wild she usually is. She can lift a chair and fight classmates. What could possibly happen to her? Don't worry about her. Let's go. The driver looked conflicted but didn't dare say more. He stepped on the gas. That day, I was on my period, and the cramps were unbearable. I braced myself against the car window, hoping Noah would let me in, but he just pressed the button and rolled it up, almost catching my fingers. The car roared off, leaving me alone at the school gate. It was 10:20 p.m. when school let out. Part of the way home had no streetlights. The streets were empty. All the stores were closed. I was scared and quickened my pace. Just as I passed an alleyway, a pair of hands suddenly dragged me inside. Chapter 4. The one who dragged me into the alley was a drunk. He squinted as he looked me over, holding a bottle of liquor in one hand and reaching for me with the other. I was terrified and struggled with all my might. The strength of a man in his 40s was nothing like that of a teenage boy. He was strong, his arms locked tightly around me. I bit his arm, kicking and punching blindly. He smashed the bottle on the ground, shards of glass cutting into my skin. I endured the pain and kicked him hard in the groin. While he was doubled over, I turned and bolted toward the main road. My lower abdomen throbbed painfully, but I didn't dare stop for a second. I didn't stop until I reached the gate of the villa. There, finally, I could gasp for air. Everything was quiet. The clock hands pointed to midnight. The lights in Noah's room were off. He had gone to sleep. Standing in front of the mirror, I undressed. There was a deep gash on my shoulder from the glass. My back was covered in bruises from where that man had grabbed me. I disinfected the wounds myself with iodine, using the mirror to help guide me. In that hazy moment, I remembered something from when I was 17. Someone had mocked Noah, and I'd rushed to argue. I bumped into the edge of a desk and hurt my arm. Back then, Noah took some iodine, knelt in front of me, and gently treated my wound. He frowned and signed, don't be so reckless next time. If they talk about me, let them. I don't care. But when you're hurt, I feel worse. I grew up in a heartless orphanage, where I was never shown any warmth. So when someone treated me kindly, I treasured it more than anything. That day, Noah pointed to his chest and told me his heart hurt when I was injured. My own heart skipped a beat. When I looked up, our eyes met. Something began to sprout inside me, wildly taking root. In that moment, I thought I must have fallen for him. Now, as I struggled to treat the wounds on my back, covered in cuts and bruises, my phone, left in the drawer, suddenly rang. It was a voice message from Alice. In the recording, Alice asked Noah, what's your relationship with Ollie? Why do you go to and from school together every day? Are you childhood sweethearts or something? Noah paused, then replied coldly, no, she's a nanny my mom brought back from the orphanage to look after me. She's clingy and even said she wants to go to H City with me after the college entrance exam. It's annoying. If it bothers you, I won't go with her anymore. I'll tell her to walk home. As I treated my wounds, I listened to the recording over and over. Maybe it was the pain on my back, but I couldn't hold back the tears. How strange, I didn't cry when I fought a drunk in a dark alley. But now, I couldn't stop sobbing. That moment of frozen terror in the alley balanced out the moment I once fell for him. I didn't want to like Noah anymore. So, after the college entrance exam ended, I went to talk to Lynn's mother. She had once told me to apply to the same university as Noah, but I didn't want that anymore. Chapter 5. Before I could go to Lynn's mother, she came to me first. She sat in her office chair, dressed in sharp business attire, and looked at me calmly. Ollie, there's something I want to talk to you about. I sat in the chair across from her, waiting. When I chose you at the orphanage, I had 2 reasons. First, You were strong-willed and could protect Noah. Second, you're a girl, more mature and caring than boys your age. These past years, you've taken good care of Noah, at least since you arrived. He hasn't been bullied at school. I originally thought you could continue looking after him. But now, I don't think it's appropriate anymore. You're a girl, spending so much time with Noah. There's bound to be gossip. It could affect his chances of finding a girlfriend. Now that Alice is helping him and he's made great progress, he no longer needs your protection. She tapped the desk and looked at me seriously. Ollie, do you understand what I'm saying? You'll take care of Noah until he graduates from high school. He's already estimated his exam score. He and Alice got similar results. They're both applying to a university in H City. You can apply elsewhere, wherever you like. It was fate that brought us together. I will continue supporting you until you graduate from university. I quietly exhaled in relief. Before coming, I had estimated my score, 689. Good enough to get into my dream school. I'd worried she'd insist I keep looking after Noah, but it turned out I didn't have to. I stood up and thanked her. Thank you, Auntie. Lynn's mother gave me a month to transition out. Once I received my acceptance letter, I was to move out. I spent my time apartment hunting and working summer jobs. Life was busy. As for Noah, after the exam, Lynn's mother supported him and Alice going on a trip together. Before they left, Alice even asked if I wanted to come. Noah answered for me, she's not coming. Alice laughed and said, well, since Ollie's going with you to H City anyway, this will give you some space. Ollie, you've been taking care of Noah so long, you must be great at housework, right? Once school starts, could you help me clean the dorm, change the bedding and stuff? I'll be busy doing Noah's aphasia recovery training. I'll leave the little things to you. Noah looked at me and nodded. She knows how to do that. Let her handle it. They went to H City early to get familiar with the environment. Noah had always been reserved and rarely posted on Instagram, but during that time, he posted daily. Photos of him and Alice at Disneyland, wearing Stella Lou and gelatoni headbands, a boat ride on the river, passing the Bund, the Oriental Pearl lit up in the night. When they returned, scores were out, and university applications had been submitted. Noah and Alice had applied to the same school. He'd lost some weight. After some time apart, he didn't seem as hostile toward me. Noah brought me a bag of butterfly pastries and pork mooncakes. He said, H City's pretty nice. You like sweet things and can't handle spice. The food there suits you. Some restaurants are really good. If Alice agrees, I can take you next time. I shook my head, stood up to gather my things, and headed out. No need. He was stunned when he heard I was going to work. He frowned. You get 30,000 yuan a month as allowance. How is that not enough? Why are you working? Noah didn't know. Lynn's mother only gave him an allowance. I never got any. My meals were either at home or at the school cafeteria. The meal card was topped up with 1,000 yuan a month. If I needed anything, I had to ask Lynn's mother. She'd have someone provide it, but never gave me cash. That birthday dinner I treated him to was paid for with my scholarship. Lynn's mother promised to support my university education. The standard? 2,000 yuan per month. I needed to save more, just in case. But this wasn't something I could explain in a few words. I was also in a hurry for work, so I simply said, I really need the money. Chapter 6. After my tutoring session, I went to my part-time job at the milk tea shop. Maybe it was the recent exhaustion, but everything started to feel blurry. I reached up and touched my forehead during a break. It was burning hot. Looked like I had a fever. As if things weren't bad enough, thunder rumbled overhead. Right before my shift ended, a heavy downpour began. The stores were closing, and I hadn't brought an umbrella. I had no choice but to stand under the eaves and wait it out. But the rain showed no signs of stopping. That's when Noah suddenly appeared. He held a black umbrella, walking toward me, and stopped in front of me. He tilted the umbrella in my direction and said, Olivia, let's go home. I didn't expect him to come pick me up. The umbrella wasn't big. Half my body was still exposed and quickly got soaked. Noah pressed his lips together and tilted the umbrella more toward me. He asked coldly, Olivia, do you think I'm some kind of monster? Huh? I looked at him in confusion. Why are you standing so far away from me? He suddenly reached out, pulled me toward him, and closed the distance between us. The umbrella now fully covered us. His scent enveloped me all at once. I tried to pull away, but he held me firmly by the shoulder. Don't mess around. If you get soaked and sick, it's on you. Have you eaten yet? Are you hungry? I'll take you out for a late-night bite. He glanced at the closed shops along the street and took out his phone to search. The Japanese place is still open. Let's go there. I remember you like sukiyaki. I'll order some skewers too. Anything else you want? I looked up at him. The rain was pouring down. His hair was damp. A droplet slid down a strand of hair and landed with a drip on the back of my hand. He lowered his gaze to meet mine. The street lamp lit his face. And in his pupils, I saw my own reflection. For a moment, I felt dazed. It felt like we'd gone back to before, back to when Noah and I were still close. Back when he didn't speak yet and would use sign language to tell me, Ollie, I saw a beautiful bouquet on the road today. I got it for you. Ollie, I just passed by the dessert shop and bought your favorite mango cake. Want some? Ollie, I found a stray cat that meows really well. Come see it with me. My thoughts were interrupted by the ringtone of his phone. It was Alice. She said she wasn't feeling well, possibly sick, and asked if Noah could take her to the hospital. After hanging up, Noah looked down at me. He hesitated for a moment, then placed the umbrella in my hands. Ollie, she's sick. I need to check on her. Can you get home by yourself? It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Without waiting for a response, Noah ran into the rain. The downpour blurred his figure, and he quickly vanished from sight. It was the second time he left me behind in the night. I lowered my gaze, staring at the puddles forming in the cracked pavement, my reflection shattered by the rain. I was so hungry it hurt. My throat was dry and sore. I found a small shop and had a bowl of pork congee with century egg. My head felt heavy, my steps unsteady. I went to the nearest clinic. The night doctor took my temperature, 38.9 degrees Celsius. Definitely a fever. He handed me 2 4 bottles and told me to get some fluids to bring the fever down. Leaning weakly in the chair, I closed my eyes to rest. Sleep crept in quickly. A girl getting in 4 beside me eventually shook me awake. She called to her father, who rushed outside and brought the doctor in. Bed 2's got blood backing up. You need to change the drip. Only then did I realize that half the 4 tube was filled with my own blood. The doctor hurried over, changed the bottle, and frowned at me. You weren't paying attention? Didn't notice it had finished? I bit my lip and replied honestly, sorry. I was too tired. I fell asleep. He looked at me, then sighed. Where's your family? You're the sick and no one's with you? I don't have any family. It's just me. A heavy silence fell over the room. The father and daughter beside me looked visibly shaken. The doctor fell quiet too. I didn't dare sleep again and took out my phone to pass the time. When I opened Instagram, I saw Alice's new post. It was a photo from the hospital waiting room, captioned, coughing nonstop tonight. Someone braved the rain to come with me. Thankfully, no fever. He worried for nothing. I recognized Noah immediately, standing at the payment counter. He was too familiar to me. One glance was enough. I remembered the time during a spring trip when he had a fever of 40 degrees Celsius. He didn't say a word. I had been the one to notice he wasn't right, reaching out to touch his forehead. When the family doctor couldn't make it in time, Lynn's mother asked me to take him to the hospital. I'd rushed around just like now, paying, registering, waiting with him. Even then, face flushed and barely able to stand, he still had the energy to sign. If you ever get sick, I'll take care of you just like this. I'd always been healthy. A little cold or headache would usually pass quickly. I'd barely ever set foot in a hospital. But tonight, the only way I could see him was through someone else's Instagram. I set my phone aside and stared blankly at the 4 bag above me. Time crawled by slowly, long enough for Noah to get home and notice I wasn't back. He messaged and called. I didn't answer. By the time I finished the second 4 bottle, it was already 1 a.m. The rain outside was even heavier. The girl in the next bed had removed her needle 10 minutes ago but hadn't left. Suddenly, she turned to me and asked, "Big sis, where do you live? It's so late and raining hard, it's hard to find a cab. Let us take you home, okay?" Afraid I might decline, She pulled out her student ID and handed it to me. This is my info. I'm not a scammer. My mom died giving birth to me. I always felt sad not having her around, but at least I still have my dad. You grew up alone. That must be even harder. And you're still sick. Let me help you, okay? She laid out her student ID, textbooks, and worksheets. Her sincerity left me unable to refuse. I nodded. Okay. Her father drove me home. After I thanked them and got out of the car, I saw the girl whisper something to her dad. He walked over, holding out a plush toy in his palm. It was a floppy-eared bunny hugging a strawberry. Grinning sweetly, she said she hopes every day of your future is as happy as this little bunny. Good luck. He got back in the car, and they drove off. I stood there, clutching the bunny, just about to push open the villa door, when it opened from the inside. Noah hadn't gone to bed. He stood in the doorway, eyes cold, voice biting. Olivia, are you really that desperate for money? So desperate you'd cling to a sugar daddy? Not even sparing a 40-year-old man? Chapter 7. Those words hit my ears like sharp thorns. I stiffened, face growing cold. You're overthinking it. He was just. Noah's face darkened, and he cut me off. Overthinking? It's the middle of the night, and you're not home. You're out with some guy until past midnight. I called. You didn't answer. I messaged. You didn't reply. And you're telling me I'm overthinking? What exactly were you doing all that time? Olivia, answer me. The more he spoke, the more agitated he became. Veins bulged on the back of his hand as he suddenly grabbed my wrist, questioning me in a low, harsh voice. The hallway light clicked on. I looked up at him, lips pressed tight, brows furrowed, fury burning in his eyes. Noah, what are you so angry about? I'd already calmed down by then, my voice quiet and even. I'm just a nanny your mom adopted to take care of you. Who I spend time with has nothing to do with you. What right do you have to control me? Noah was momentarily speechless, then snapped. My mom adopted you. That makes you part of our family. The Lin family values its reputation. I'm doing this because I don't want you disgracing our name. He reached for the bunny in my hand. Throw that thing away. I yanked my hand back and hid the toy behind me. No. Our eyes locked, neither of us willing to back down. A tense silence filled the space, the kind that comes before a storm. He tried to grab the floppy-eared bunny, and I clutched it tighter, fuming. Noah suddenly barked. Olivia, if you insist on this, then don't live here anymore. I froze, staring at him. His face was serious. He pointed toward the door and repeated, if you don't throw that bunny away tonight, then leave my house right now. For a moment, I was dazed. In my ears, I heard his words from years ago. Ollie, my home is your home. You'll never have to worry about having no roof over your head or going hungry again. But times change. The boy who once claimed to be my family now heartlessly wanted me gone. I nodded. Okay. Honestly, if Noah had just walked into my room, he would have seen all my belongings were already packed. I had found an apartment days ago. I'd been planning to move out once the acceptance letter arrived. Now, I'd just be leaving a few days earlier. But I'm really tired tonight, and the fever hasn't fully gone down. It's already 1:30 a.m. Let me sleep first, okay? You have a fever? His hostility vanished instantly. He reached out to touch my forehead. I stepped onto the staircase, avoiding his hand. Yeah, I had a fever. Went to the clinic. Got 4 drips. It was raining hard and hard to find a cab. The girl I was getting the 4 with had her dad take me home. The bunny? It's from her. Yes. I need money. But no, I'm not some sugar baby. Don't be so dirty-minded. Noah stood there, stunned, as I ascended to the second floor. After a long silence, he rasped out, you didn't come back so late before. I was just worried. I didn't mean what I said. Noah, I said, looking down at him from the stairs. Worried about what? Exactly? When I was getting a backflow of blood through the 4-line. You were at the hospital with another girl. And this isn't the first time I came home late. When school ended at 10:20 p.m. And you told me to walk 5 kilometers home. I didn't see you worried then. He tried to respond, but I turned the doorknob and said, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. I closed the door and lay in bed, shutting the world out. He paced outside my room. His footsteps were restless and disordered. A long while later, I vaguely heard him murmur, "Just get some rest. If you feel unwell, call me." My acceptance letter came this afternoon. Yours should be here soon too. When you're feeling better, I'll take you out for Japanese food to celebrate us going to H City together. I curled under my blanket and closed my eyes. Tomorrow, I'd be moving out. And if he had just asked me once about my exam score, or even casually asked where I'd be going, he would have known. I never applied to any university in H City, but unfortunately, he never asked. Chapter 8. When I woke up, it was already noon. Lynn's mother was still abroad for work, and Noah wasn't home either. There was no one I needed to say goodbye to, so I quietly wheeled my suitcase out the door, just in time to see the housekeeper delete my fingerprint from the smart lock. I entered the Lynn family at 12. I left at 18. 6 years, neither long nor short, yet it made up a third of my life so far. Back when I left the orphanage, I didn't take much with me, leaving the Lynn household now. One suitcase still wasn't full. I never had many belongings, not even much clothing. Lynn's mother didn't like girls who dressed up, so I spent almost the whole year in school uniforms. When it was too cold in winter, I'd just layer thermal pants underneath and throw on a down jacket. After moving out of the large villa, I settled into a tiny studio apartment. That afternoon, Noah messaged me saying he was doing his aphasia rehab exercises and would bring me some cold and fever medicine later. The illness had come quickly but faded fast. I replied that the fever was gone and I didn't need it. A moment later, he messaged again, asking what I wanted to eat. He'd pick it up for me. I didn't reply. I was rushing to a student's home for tutoring. I hadn't checked my phone during the lesson. When it ended and I turned it on again, I saw several missed calls, all from Noah. Just then, another call came through. I answered. Noah sounded anxious. "Where are you right now? I saw your room was empty. The housekeeper said you moved out. Where are you now? Come back. I bought your favorite." I softly cut him off. "Noah, I'm not going back. I already returned the key to the housekeeper. My fingerprint's been deleted." He stumbled over his words, struggling without being able to use sign language. After a while, I finally heard him ask, "Why? Why did you move out?" I asked in return. "You told me to leave last night. Did you forget?" Another silence. His voice grew hoarse. "I was just angry. I didn't actually want you to go. But once words are spoken, how do you take them back?" I was walking down the street toward my apartment. "Noah, I've rented a little place. I'm not coming back." Over the phone, he asked weakly, "Ollie, just because I said one wrong thing, you're going to make it into something this big?" But what he got wrong wasn't just one thing. After a long pause, he exhaled and softened his tone. "You're used to living in the villa. How could you get comfortable in some cramped little apartment? You're still not fully recovered. Come back, please." I'd always been adaptable. Big house or small apartment, I could live in either. "Noah, you've misunderstood. I'm not making a scene. If that's all, I'm hanging up now." After going back and forth, his temper flared again. "Olivia, you're not a kid anymore. Why are you acting like you're running away from home? If you don't come back, don't bother looking for me when we're in H City. We'll have nothing to do with each other." I replied softly, "All right." I don't know what he said after that. I'd already hung up. In the days that followed, Noah never contacted me again. A week later, I got a call from a delivery courier saying my admission letter had arrived. I had written the Lynn family's address on the application. To collect it, I had to return to the Lynn home one last time. When I arrived, the courier hadn't come yet, and I didn't go inside. I just waited outside the villa. "You're back?" Noah's voice came from behind me, tinged with a kind of tentative joy. Even though it had only been a week, he looked thinner. There were dark circles under his eyes. He clearly hadn't been sleeping well. He came to stand in front of me and sighed lightly. "Are you done being mad? If you didn't come back soon, I was going to look for you. That night was my fault. I shouldn't have thought that way about you. I've had your room cleaned every day. The flowers by the bed get changed every 3 days. Today's bouquet is roses. Go see if you like them." He must have misunderstood the reason I was here. It was only then that he realized I was alone. No suitcase, nothing with me. He hesitated, then said, "You don't have to bring anything back. If you're missing something, I'll buy it for you. Let's go to the supermarket later." "Yeah. I heard the rainy season in H City gets really damp. Let's get some extra bedding." I cut him off. "No, I'm just here to get my admission letter." The courier finally arrived, hurrying over to me. "Are you Olivia?" I nodded and showed him my ID. He handed me the envelope and smiled. "Wow. Impressive. This is the first B University letter I've delivered this year. Congratulations. Wishing you great success in your studies." I sincerely thanked him. When I turned back around, Noah was still standing there, staring at the envelope. The large, bold characters read, B City. He looked dazed. Then, slowly, he asked, "Ollie, whose admission letter are you holding?" Chapter 9. I let out a breathless laugh. I had shown my ID to the courier. Who else could it belong to? "It's mine," I said, right in front of him. I tore open the envelope and unfolded the admission letter. Noah stood beside me, face turning ghostly pale, fingertips trembling. Didn't you say you'd go to H City with me?" I nodded. "I said that back in our second year. That was over a year ago. I scored nearly 700 on the college entrance exam. Why would I still go to H City?" Noah bit his lip. "But you never told me, and you never asked," I replied. "When the results came out, you were in H City with Alice. When we were filling out applications, you were still there. You never once asked how I did, or which school I applied to." He lowered his gaze. "Ollie, I thought you'd go to the same city as me. If I had known you applied to B City, I could have." "Noah," I gently interrupted him. "You're the only one who didn't know I applied to B City. Everyone in our class group chat congratulated me, but you never read the messages. I was even interviewed by a news outlet, but you never check the news. Even your mom knew, but she didn't tell you." "My mom?" he repeated blankly. "Your rejection of me was clear even to her. She once asked me to apply to H City to take care of you. But later, she came to me and said that since you had Alice, and I was just a girl, being too close would affect your chances of finding a girlfriend. So she suggested I choose another city." I smiled faintly, glancing up at the second-floor window of the room I'd lived in for so many years. The curtains were drawn open, sunlight streaming over the pristine white bed and the pale pink roses on the nightstand. "I'm not coming back. Moving out was your mother's idea, too." Noah looked at me in disbelief. I thought my mom wanted us to be together. She always liked you." I chuckled softly. "How could that be?" "She liked that I was obedient, liked that I could protect you and take care of you. Her liking was built on the foundation of loving you. As for wanting me to be with you, that's just wishful thinking. In a mother's eyes, how could a girl from an orphanage ever be worthy of her son from a wealthy family?" Having received my admission letter, I was ready to leave, but after walking a few steps, I suddenly remembered something and called out to him. When he heard me say his name, he looked up, a faint glimmer of hope flickering in his eyes. There was something I had tried to explain to him many times, but he had never believed me. Still, I wanted to say it again, one last time. "Noah, on your 18th birthday, I used my scholarship money to celebrate with you. I picked a restaurant with amazing reviews. What happened afterward wasn't my doing. I drank that mix-up of a drink too. It's true, I did like you then, but not to the point of using something like that. When we got back to the villa, everything that happened was led by you. I didn't force you into anything. You were furious the next morning, and I was disheartened. I couldn't understand how, after all the time we'd spent together, you still didn't know what kind of person I was." After saying all that, I turned and walked away. He stood there, slightly hunched, eyes rimmed in red. It started to rain again, quiet, soundless. As I rounded the corner, I looked back. He was still standing there, hair damp, his shirt soaked through. He looked at me, lips moving, but no sound came out. Water dripped from the eaves with a soft plip, sounding just like a tear falling. Chapter 10. Life went on as usual. I sold my high school textbooks and notes, made a little money, Took on part-time jobs here and there. Since leaving the Lin family, I stayed just as busy, but it felt different. I was busy for myself, not for someone else. After that conversation, I deleted all of Noah's contact info. I thought, it's come to this, there's no need for us to talk again. But not long after, Noah began appearing downstairs from my apartment. Most of the time, he didn't say a word, just silently watched me leave. After my night tutoring sessions, he'd follow behind to walk me home. We didn't speak. I pretended not to see him, and he didn't try to talk, just kept his distance, 3 steps behind. Until I reached my apartment, he'd watch me go upstairs, wait a while, then leave. One evening, on the way back, I finally stopped and looked back. Noah. He paused, then quickly closed the gap and stood before me. I don't need you to walk me home anymore. He pressed his lips together. It's not safe at night, but the road I take now is well lit and wide. And you know what the most dangerous night was? He looked at me, completely lost. Clearly, he had no idea. It was the night you told me to walk home alone so Alice wouldn't misunderstand. School let out past 10. I had cramps. No money. No phone, so I walked. There was a stretch of road without streetlights. A drunk man dragged me into an alley and tried to assault me. I was so scared. I couldn't even cry. I fought back. He hit me with a bottle. I kicked him and ran as fast as I could, non-stop, all the way to the villa. My shoulders and back were covered in blood. It was summer then. I'd been wearing a short-sleeved top. I tugged the collar down slightly. The scar on my shoulder, long and winding, came into view. This is from that night. There's one on my back. 2, larger and deeper. His look of confusion turned to anguish. His body swayed slightly, shrouded in shadow. He murmured, "Ollie." I didn't know. I smiled faintly, looking up at him. Of course you didn't, because when I came home, you were already asleep. You didn't see me using tweezers to pick out the glass shards, or struggling to apply iodine to the wounds on my back. Noah, I'm telling you all this just to say, I've already walked the darkest, scariest roads alone, for a path that's now lit and wide. I don't need you to walk me through it. The light turned green. I crossed the street and turned left at the corner. Noah stayed at the intersection, covering his face with a hand. He didn't follow. I thought, after everything I said tonight, he wouldn't keep clinging to me. I didn't expect that just a few peaceful days later. Alice showed up outside my apartment. She said Noah's aphasia had relapsed. Chapter 11. I couldn't understand why Alice came to me about Noah's relapse. She was the one who'd been doing his recovery training all along. But there she stood at my door, eyes red and swollen. People who are truly happy don't feel the need to constantly show off on social media. Only those who are insecure, who need to convince themselves, do that. I posted all those Instagrams about Noah for you to see, and also to comfort myself. I didn't understand what she meant. She said that when she and Noah went to H-City, he couldn't stop bringing me up. He kept saying things like, Ollie likes this. Ollie loves thrill rides. Ollie hates waiting in line. Ollie never gets tired while shopping. I got annoyed and asked him why he was talking about you so much. He paused and said, "Since the day we met, I've never been apart from her for this long. I miss her." I was overwhelmed by insecurity. That's why I kept posting. And that night, I wasn't sick at all. I knew he was planning to pick you up. So I deliberately called and tricked him into coming to me. That Instagram post, I hid it from him. I nodded slightly. So, what is it you want to say to me? Alice stood on my doorstep, disheveled and defeated. I met Noah in a support group for aphasia patients. I wanted to help him because he tried so hard to recover. And the reason he wanted so badly to speak again was because he didn't want you to worry. The first words Noah spoke after regaining his voice weren't ones I taught him. I don't know what happened between you two, but that day, he was both heartbroken and furious. When he came to me, the only thing he could say over and over again was, "Ollie." She looked at me, face pale, voice low and sad. His first word after speaking again was your name. Once an aphasia patient speaks, the rest is easier. That's when I started teaching him more. My intention was always just to help others speak again. I didn't know when I started liking him. but I'm stubborn and possessive. When I want something, I'll do whatever I can to get it. I could tell he liked you, yet somehow resented you too, wanted to push you away. So I created conflict, again and again, forcing him to choose. She dissected her own worst flaws in the calmest tone, then suddenly, her voice cracked. But what can I do? He can't control how he feels about you, just like I can't control how I feel about him. The night you moved out, he was like a madman. He didn't sleep, just sat in your room waiting for you to come back. And when you returned to pick up your admission letter, he messaged me and told me never to contact him again. Since then, even when I've gone to see him, he won't meet with me. She clutched the hem of her shirt, eyes brimming with tears. The housekeeper said that one day, Noah came back and suddenly reverted. He just sat at the edge of the bed, silently staring at the sunset. He's been like that for days now. I don't know exactly what happened between you two, but, please, go see him. I looked at her and asked softly, don't you love him? Why would you want me to go? She lowered her head, voice trembling and soaked with tears. Because the one he loves is you, not me. I'm useless, only you can reach him. I care about him. I don't want him to suffer like this. So even if I have to beg you, shamelessly, then fine. Is that enough? I glanced at my watch and shook my head. I can't. I have 3 students to teach this afternoon. Then after that, I have a 3-hour night shift. Afterward, I'm going to sleep. I'm very busy. I don't have time to go back to the Lynn house. With that, I gently closed the door, nudging her back. Behind me, I heard Alice's voice shout, is Noah really less important than all these jobs? I got on a shared bike and didn't answer. Not long after, Lynn's mother called. When she learned Noah had relapsed, she flew home from overseas. She said, Ollie, come home. Noah still needs you. Please, just come see him. When I remained silent, she added, if Noah falls into aphasia again, it might be even harder for him to speak again next time. Chapter 12. I returned to the Lynn home at dusk. Half light, half shadow. Noah sat alone by the window, staring at the distant setting sun. When the door opened, he didn't move. Darkness fell. He didn't turn on the light. It looked exactly like the first time I met him. Even the sunset outside mirrored that day. But this time, it was different. This time, I called softly, Noah. He trembled slightly and slowly turned around. He didn't speak, just looked at me quietly, then signed. Why did you come back? Alice and your mom came to find me. They said your aphasia relapsed and asked me to come see you. I wasn't planning to come, but your mom did take me from the orphanage. Gave me the chance to get an education, since she asked. I thought I should at least come take a look. He lowered his eyes, sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, expression shadowed. Still, he looked at me and said, I'm sorry. For what? For a lot of things. I'm just sorry. I said nothing more, just sat beside him to watch the sun sink below the horizon. After a long while, I said, before I came, I met with your mom. She said that if you like me, she's okay with it, if it's your choice. She'll accept it. She wants me to keep taking care of you, but I'm going to B City, and you're in H City. So according to her, she'll rent a place for you in H City. I'll give up B University, apply to H City next year instead, and take care of you until then. Back then, Lynn's mother had sat in her office chair and explained all this to me. She said, whether or not Noah and I ended up together, she'd give me a lump sum of money, 7 figures, enough to last for years. Now that Noah's condition had worsened, she hoped I would agree. And if I don't, I asked her, then I'll have to reconsider your university funding. She had said seriously. Now, with the sky fully dark, I turned on the lights and told Noah, your mom loves you deeply, so much so that everyone else is expendable. You are her entire world. So, Noah, what do you want me to do? He looked at me and gave a bitter smile. Ollie, I've always been a burden to you, just like now. Don't agree to this. Don't ruin your future for me. I pressed my forehead to the window pane. But Noah, your mom said that if I don't agree, she'll cut off my college funding. But I want to live my own life. I don't want to come back. I don't want to be entangled with you anymore. I'm going to be city the day after tomorrow. Once I'm in college, I can apply for financial aid. There are campus jobs. And I can still tutor. I'll manage. He grasped my hand. I'll talk to her about the money. Don't worry. I'm really okay. I hate myself. I feel like garbage. How did I become like this? He rambled on for a long time, eventually circling back to us. I closed my eyes and gently tousled his hair, like I used to. Noah, have you ever heard the phrase spilt water can't be gathered again? That's probably what we are. He bowed his head, clutching his chest, eyes hollow and barren. I stood up. It's late. I should go. He wanted to walk me out. I stopped him. No need. The driver's waiting downstairs. But still, he followed. The housekeeper said it was the first time he'd stepped outside in days. At my apartment entrance, he looked at me and forced a smile, uglier than crying. He said, "Ollie, I wish you all the best. Take care." Chapter 13. After arriving in B City, I stepped into a brand new, unfamiliar world. From south to north, west to east, I began to witness how diverse life could be. Here, I had to study, attend classes, do internships, build friendships, and face confusion, sadness, and anxiety. There were times I felt helpless under the weight of societal norms, scared of uncertain futures. But still, walking this road toward the unknown, I found growth. Time flows, thoughts change, even emotions shift and fade. Everything related to W City and the Lin family felt far away now, like a faded memory. I stayed on campus during winter and summer breaks, never going back. But Noah would visit B City once or twice a year. Each time, he'd stay a day or two, have a meal with me, then leave. He had grown thinner, quieter, more content to listen than to speak. Lin's mother transferred 30,000 yuan into my account every month, saying it was Noah's request to match the amount she gave him. She'd occasionally call me, asking about my studies, subtly prying about my love life. When she learned I was still single, she tried to push me and Noah back together. "Noah's still single. He still thinks about you. Maybe give it a chance." "Auntie, I don't think so. I wasn't dating, not because I couldn't, but because I hadn't met the right person. Fate isn't something you force, and even alone, I could live well." In my junior year, Noah came to visit right after finals. I was out having dinner with my roommates. I sent him the location and told him to wait for me downstairs at the restaurant. Midway through dinner, I caught the sharp scent of smoke. Someone looked out the window and shouted, "Fire!" Panic broke out. Everyone rushed toward the stairs, except for one person, who ran against the crowd, calling my name. It was Noah. When he saw me, he grabbed my hand and dashed down the stairs with me. The heat surged, the beams groaned and began to collapse. He shielded me the whole way until we burst out of the burning building. Luckily, the fire wasn't large. Everyone escaped, while others stood outside, gasping for breath. Noah's face had gone pale. His legs gave out beneath him as he collapsed to his knees. I'd vaguely heard his aphasia was linked to a fire. Now, he looked at me with trembling eyes. "Ollie, are you okay?" "I'm fine, but what about you?" He steadied himself and nodded. "I'm okay. Next time, don't rush into a fire. You're not a professional. It's dangerous." He paused, then lowered his head. "I know, but you were inside. When I realized you were still upstairs, my body moved before my brain could stop it." In his pupils, I saw myself, entirely, only me. That night, we had dinner together. As always, he planned to fly back to W City afterward. I stopped him. "I bought a ticket. This time, I'm going back too. I had something very, very important to do." Chapter 14. After returning to W City, the first place I went was the orphanage where I'd once lived. It was still open, now home to a new group of children, like my younger self. They fought, scrambled, and bit each other for limited food and resources. The director, still smiling, ladled Buddha jumps over the wall soup while watching with amusement. 6 years had passed. He didn't recognize me anymore. Noah came with me, dressed in designer clothes head to toe. The director, always good at judging appearances, treated us with flattering politeness as he gave us a tour. Aside from being older and more worn, the orphanage hadn't changed, but the director had grown fatter. His frame bloated, clearly still embezzling funds. I stayed nearby for several days, took countless photos. After gathering enough evidence, I reported the corrupt orphanage with guidance from one of my professors. My middle school homeroom teacher heard I was back and invited me to visit the school. Noah came along. The school was filled with old memories. Passing by our old classroom, Noah pointed to his former seat. I used to sit here. You sat next to me. When classmates stabbed my arms with compasses, you picked up a chair and fought them off. At the newly renovated track, he smiled faintly, eyes full of nostalgia. Ollie, remember how I'd get tired just a few steps into a run? You'd grab my hand and pull me forward, walking past the wisteria-covered trellis. I smiled too. They used to block you here and call you a mute. I chased them off and begged you to please start talking. Noah laughed. Then tears gathered in his eyes. But Ollie, we can't go back. Noah, I said gently, let's move forward. Stop looking back. Everyone's walking their own path. I've already gone so far ahead. He was quiet for a long time. Then his eyes curved slightly. Okay. That day was his 21st birthday. Lynn's mother invited me to join the celebration. When the candles were lit, the glow danced across his face. For a moment, it felt like I'd gone back to his 18th birthday. A 6-inch cake with 2 number candles. Hands clasped. He'd made a silent wish. He hadn't spoken yet, so I never knew what it was. But this time, I heard it. He said, "May Ollie be safe and happy, and may her future be bright. May her sincerity never be betrayed by anyone." Chapter 15 Extra Noah. For as long as I can remember, I never had a father, and my mother was never really around either. Her job always kept her so busy she left me with my grandmother in the countryside. I spent almost all of my childhood with Grandma. Mom rarely came home, and honestly, I never wished she would. She was strict. I had to hold my bowl properly at meals. No typos in my writing. Every subject had to be top of the class. I was terrified of her, so when she became successful and decided to bring me back to the city for school, I resisted. I didn't want to leave Grandma. She was the gentlest, kindest old lady in the world. At night, she told me stories. Her calloused hands could weave bamboo baskets. I didn't want to be apart from her, but I was too scared of my mother. No matter how unwilling I felt, I didn't dare defy her, so I followed her to the city. Grandma didn't come. She had her little house, chickens, ducks, and a dog to care for. All my childhood companions, I'd named every one of them. Life in the city wasn't happy. My mother enforced strict discipline on everything I did. If I didn't meet expectations, she'd smack my hands with a ruler. Every time it hurt, I thought of Grandma's hands, rough and covered in calluses, but always soothing all my troubles. I missed her so much. My mother promised, if I came first in the final exams, she'd take me back to visit Grandma. I worked so hard, and I did it. I ranked first. But I never saw Grandma again. The last time I saw her, she was running behind our car, reaching into my palm with an orange. She never opened her eyes again. The day I returned, there was a fire, caused by faulty wiring. She was taking a nap and got trapped inside. When I arrived, the house was already engulfed in flames. The fire devoured not just our home, but Grandma too. I knelt outside for a long, long time. If Grandma had seen me, she would have hurt for me. But this time, she wasn't going to help me up. Despair drowned me. I started to hate myself, hated my cowardice. If only I had been brave and refused to go to the city, would she still be alive? Half of me resented my mother. The other half spiraled into endless guilt. After that, I stopped talking. My mother took me to countless hospitals. The diagnosis was depressive aphasia. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I'd just sit and stare at the sunset. Every evening, Grandma and I used to sit side by side on the porch and watch the sun disappear. I thought my life would end like that, silent, dim, and predetermined. Then Ollie appeared. She barged into my life at sunset, but brought with her the energy of a rising sun. I hated my mother, hated everyone she brought into my world. But Ollie, I couldn't bring myself to hate her. She was too good to me. It was like she offered me her whole heart. She stayed by my side for 5 years, never once hearing my voice. On my 18th birthday, we both drank from the wrong glass. When I pulled her into the room, I still had a shred of reason left. But she was so close, too close, and that final thread snapped. The next morning, I woke up and saw her sleeping beside me. I was dazed. My mother once told me, "Ollie's a good girl. She's taking care of you so well. One day, you should marry her." But I hated my mother. I didn't want to obey anything she said. So when I realized I liked Ollie, I panicked. I wanted to deny it. I told myself she was no different from my mother, just like my mother dragged me away from grandma against my will. Ollie had drugged me, so I lashed out at her. I told myself I had to get away, that I couldn't let her and my mother get what they wanted. I began to reject Ollie. When Alice appeared, I deliberately got close to her, even though I didn't like her. I was a coward. I didn't dare stand up to my mother, so I took all that anger and threw it at Ollie. When did I realize I couldn't suppress my feelings anymore? In H City, we'd only been apart a day, but I already missed her like crazy. Everything reminded me of her, what she might want to eat, what she'd love to do, what she'd say about the scenery. Even then, I tried so hard to suppress it, to convince myself I didn't care. I assumed she'd be with me in H City, always close behind, just a step away. I never expected her to move out, never imagined her grades had improved so much, that she'd choose a university so far from mine. When she told me it was my mom who pushed her to make that choice, I froze. All my resistance had been a joke. When she was with me, I took her for granted. Once she left, I was scared out of my mind. She was a truly good person, never once raised her voice at me, which made my regret even deeper. I used to think we still had a chance. That's why I walked her home those few nights. But when I learned she'd been attacked walking alone that night, I knew, even that chance was gone. I am a terrible, wretched person. The guilt consumed me, dragging me into despair. I wanted her to come back, but I was terrified she might. Someone like me would only trap her. She should be free, a bright, unrestrained 18-year-old girl living her best life. The day she left, I had my first real fight with my mom. I couldn't believe the casual way she asked Ollie to give up B University and go to H City to take care of me. I snapped, I shouted, I raged. But no matter what I said, my mother just nodded and said, "Okay." Only then did I realize, the domineering Lynn Madam of 10 years ago had changed too. I was the one stuck in the past, creating an enemy that didn't exist. Eventually, Ollie and I became little more than old acquaintances. A polite nod, a word or two, that was all. In junior year, I went to visit her. That was the day of the fire. In that moment, I remembered the fire at Grandma's house. That time, I failed to save her, but this time, I carried Ollie out myself. When we made it out, I fell to my knees. Finally, I had walked out of the fire that burned my childhood to ashes. But part of me is still stuck, forever trapped in that long, wet summer, when I was 18.